All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harachadash, and more to speak to the apostles and elders that great millstone over well and have taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you, hopeful. Elect of the Prishnathas, word of thought, truth and sincerity. To all you like, my do say Shalom. I'm the Shemashwan coming in with a quick lesson, which originally was supposed to be in the spirit, but when I was on StreamYard, I noticed that on the top left corner of the screen, it showed a 720, all right, number pertaining to the video quality, like the graphics and whatnot. And I remembered that StreamYard offers like a subscription service, so if you pay for it, I'm assuming you get higher quality, right? If I'm mistaken. And that's when I thought to myself, man, free is cheap. Free is crappy. But then I corrected myself because the scriptures talk about free rewards. But ultimately, that'll come in the kingdom, right? So free is crappy on this side, not in the kingdom. That's why I entitled the lesson "Free in the Kingdom," which it's manifold. Free as in finally, sovereign. I'm free. Right? No more heathen ruling over me. And also, what's it called? Getting the rewards. The promises, man. The women, the power, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The full wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because we only have, a limited quantity of it, especially with our minds not being able to, possess, it all. Our mortal minds cannot comprehend, such, great things that the Lord has. That's why in Isaiah the 55th chapter, verse 11, actually verse 10 or 9, I'll pull it out basically. The Lord does make the mention how his thoughts are higher than us. But Akim has spoken about we're going to be many Most Highs and many Yahweh Shais. True gods, right? Thenceforth, our capacity on this side, it's weak. But on that side, when it becomes, godly, celestial, we're going to be able to attain all the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding for free, right? Free slaves, free homes, free everything, dog. Yeah, you know how great that is. Hey, because you think about it, when we what's it called came into the land, during the time of Joshua, we inhabited the homes of the heathen. Sure, over time, Jake did build buildings. There's laws about what's it called regarding the construction of buildings. Like put a railing on the roof so somebody doesn't fall and die, right? From fall heights. But really, we're going to be inhabiting the homes for free because the heathen are going to build it for us. That's an example of free. But this is the book of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, for verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Right. That's why also you have that one precept. We have only seen a few of his works. There are things that we do not know, nor can understand, on how to create. What's it called? What the Lord does, right? Because again, his thoughts are higher. But the precept I wanted to get out to start the lesson was the book of Isaiah, the 65th chapter, verse 17. And I'm on the blue letter Bible, by the way. Salakia. And these damn lips, being dry. I don't have my chapstick on me. But, it does, hinder my speech. Now, verse 17 of Isaiah, the 65th chapter, the subheading reads, New heavens and a new earth. Now, verse 17 doth read, For behold, I create a new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. Now, we know it's not really referring to an exoplanet, right? A new planet, right? Because what's it called? The time after the book of Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, verse 4, it doth read, One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. And in this case, it pertains to eternity, because the other part of the heart that make the distinction between forever means temporary and ever and ever. meaning all eternity. In this circumstance, however, this forever means all eternity. And also in the NLT, the New Living Translation, it does read how that the earth never changes. Now, it does change in landmass, right? What's it called? We did have Pangea as taught. Then if I'm mistaken, is during the flood when the foundations there they break up, and that's where you have what's it called, different land masses, and scientists, Esau scientists have been talking about how there's a new landmass, and where's New Zealand, right? New Zealandia, a rising continent that's submerged underwater, and I remember visiting the LA camps, and the man of the Lord proclaimed that, hey, a new landmass, in the kingdom, and that the chances of that rising, are astonishing. They do connect, right? Because time back to we'll pull it out. It's in Isaiah as well, but it makes the mention the earth shall roll to and fro like a drunkard, right? What's it called? When you reel, right? What's it called? The earth is moving, is swaying, and think about it. When something impacts, say for example, you drop a rock into a pond, what happens? It ripples and it changes. The water, the surface of the water, wiggles. Same thing with Esau's teaching of astronomical teachings of space time. You put what's it called, a ball with mass, and then it warps space time, and what's it called, you know things orbit around him when it warps. The surface warps basically. And what's it called? Well, same thing. You hit the earth, it impacts, and the earth shakes. The chance of New Zealandia rising as a, what's it called, from being submerged into uh, a land not touched by water, but a new land coming up from the surface of the water. It's plausible. Isaiah 24:20, the earth shall be to and fro like a drunkard, and it shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Right? Because 200 million missiles are going to hit the planet Earth. Right? And 200 million, it sounds like a number out there, but it's really written in the scriptures. And, I learned it from the man of the Lord at Great Millstone. I'm going to pull it out. This is the book of Revelation, 9th chapter. I presume it was verse 16. Correct. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. Right, and if you go into the NLT, the New Living Translation, what does it read? I heard the size of their army, which was 200 million mounted troops. Now, if you go to a calculator, for example, if you still don't believe, I'll punch in the numbers. 200,000, 200 million. 200 million missiles. Now you're probably wondering, well, what missiles? Where'd you get that? What's it called? The Bible's an ancient book. It's talking about horsemen. Horsemen. Flying horses. And you ain't talking about no goddamn flying horse, man. Flying cavalry, that's freaking, fantasy. That's a fantasy genre thing. When you see what's it called, you know, little horses with people on it, charging and taking charge. What's it called? It ain't talking about that. It ain't talking about what's it called? No, literal cavalry. What's it called? Like your Valkyries. No, right? Really, what's it called? Horseman pertains to, because with described, the way they're described insinuates a chariot. Not a chariot. What's it called? ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile. Which, yeah, the chariots will take a part in destruction. You know, I'll get to that right now, but in a bit. But I'm gonna clarify. This is the book of Joel, the second chapter, for the horseman part being the ICBMs. Verse 2, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. Now, what's it called? In an ancient battlefield before the advent of guns, artillery, you would have what's it called, bows and arrows, flying arrows, yeah, um, and physical bladed swords, right? You know, but I'll pull it out. pull it out. These type of images that you see really only come from a modern battlefield, right? You really didn't have that back in what's it called, ancient warfare, right? Like you look at what's it called, that show Vikings. Yeah, obviously Vikings is a Netflix show, and most shows are far from the truth, right? They're dramatized versions of it because it goes back to dramaturgy, right? What's it called? You gotta be dramatic, emotional, right? What's it called? When you perform, you act, right? So it dramatizes it, and then it becomes oversimplified, nuanced, and just far from the truth at that point. But you had a good example from one of the battles. I forget what season it was. I think it was when Ivar the King. Ivar the Great became a leader over an army. I forget the episode. And you see the days, blue clear sky with some clouds here and there in Iceland. They're fighting with swords. There ain't no smog in the damn sky. There ain't no smog in the damn sky, right? But really, what's it called? That smog, stems from like the silt settling in the atmosphere, right? What's it called? All that pollution causing all those explosions. Look, here's another example. Here's another example. That only comes from modern warfare, and that was prominent during the past the past world wars, the past two worlds. Continuing on, a day of darkness then, and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness as the morning spread upon the light. Right? When you think about morning spread upon the light, you think of a mountain hilltop and the sun shining down upon it. And as the sun shines, you see the light of the sun, settle down and then spread. Because the whole mountain, the whole hill is dark, but as the sun starts popping out, it's a glow, its illumination starts casting it down, and you see the sun get bright and bright. No, the mountain get bright and bright and bright as the morning spread upon upon the mountains, as the morning spread upon the mountains. And morning, that's because that's when the sun comes up. You know, so it's an analogy. Analogy means like an example. You're describing it using a far out there an abstract example, to help the audience understand what you're trying to mean. Now I'm gonna start with that word gloominess, that word gloomy, dark or poorly lit, in a little sense, especially so as to appear depressing or frightening. Number two, causing or feeling depression or despondency. So when you feel gloomy, you're feeling what's it called under the weather. You feel what's it called. You feel terrible. You feel scared, frightened, because it's a day of terror. The day of the Lord is a terrible day. It's an evil day, a scary day. You go on Reddit and you have countless emails I saw about. I don't know. Ever since 2020, I've had this fear of impending doom. I can't shake it. I feel like something very soon is gonna pop up. That's the spirit. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, my power, my God, my Lord, my Dad, my Father, right? He's putting the spirit upon Esau to think this way because Esau knows that he had but a short flipping time, and we are at the end of this thing. The end of this thing. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is what? The beginning of it that followeth. Now I'm gonna pull out the freaking. I have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Hell, this thing is all old raggedy, but it got good usage, man. Now I'll pull out because I know it's categorized by letters, right? It's alphabetical. So you start off with the A words, and then you got the B words. I want to pull out the word for burden, burden, because what Esau feels is a burden. All right, so trying to find that word burden. Burden. Okay. that feeling of impending doom. And that's the keyword. Doom and burden. They are similar pursuant to this, and that's what the reason why I want to bring it out. find it because I know there's a lot of freaking words that start with the B. I know they have this own different Bible dictionary PDF, but I look right here. It's easier. Just pull that right here. But I gotta manually scour through it because there's so many words. I've always found it difficult to, basically locate the word. Okay. Burden. Yeah, where you at? Where you at, guys? Where burden at? Where the burden at? Slovakia. Yeah. Gotta manually scour through this. Okay. Jeez, man. What the hell is that? What? I'm tripping, am I right? I know burden was in here. Because that's a word that's used in the scriptures a lot. I know the word burden is here. What? There it is. Found it. Or page 95. I was like scaring for like so many pages. Page 95. Right. So for that word burden, burden means that which is laid upon one in order to be carried. The word translates 8 different words. Right. So you got 8 different words and 8 different words in the OT, Old Testament, and 3 in the NT, the New Testament. When it is literally used, it is easily understood and needs no special comment. Figuratively, it is used in the sense of responsibility, or like our burden being to teach this thing, or of a sorrow, which teaching is also a sorrow. Um, but by far the most frequently used in the OT is oracle, right? The word of the Lord, right? Which a word, meaning a message, and a message is offensive burden if it's a evil message, right? Message of destruction, right? Let's say at the word of the Lord to Malachi, you know, the burden of the word of the Lord to Malachi, right? What's it called? The burden, for example, right? Whenever you hear those types of burdens, those messages, it's because it's a bad message to America, right? The message is against America. That's where it becomes a burden to this place, right? It's a sorrow, because prophecy is real, and if prophecy is going against America, thenceforth America's more like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. And that's true because time after Jeremiah, what's it called? 20th chapter, that is the role of a prophet. The role of a prophet is to prophesy against, right? Basically teach the messages, speak the messages given from on high unto America, for example. All right. Jeremiah 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old, right? The prophets before the year 2025, we're talking about what's it called, several thousand years ago. The prophets of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, man. The ancient prophets who preceded you and me spoke against many nations, always warning of war, disaster, and disease. You know, so call us extremists and whatnot. Really, if you call a prophet extremist, you're going against the man of the Lord. And if you're going against the man of the Lord, you're going against him. If you're going against Yahweh Shah, you're going against him. Yahweh, what's it called? Luke 10 from a second right? Yeah, despise me, despise him that sent me. What's it called? Hey, shoot, man, it's an order. It's a structure. You cons don't see that. Well, you finna see that when it comes to destruction upon your mother flipping ass. Right? What's it called? Um, okay. Luke, book of Luke. I know it was the book of Luke. All right, I found the precept, but I know it's in the book of Luke. But I'm gonna pull out the book of John, the 15th chapter instead. That was the quickest one I found. Um, right, 15th chapter, verse 20, verse 23 doth read. Actually, it's a lot, yeah. He that hateth me hated my Father also. Right, but actually, I'm gonna go back to Luke because Luke was more descriptive. I get spicy, spicy. See, I always write Luke 10:16. Freaking Google search engine try to trip me out, thinking I'm tripping. No, I'm not tripping. Luke 10:16. He that heareth you heareth me, and he that despiseth you despiseth me, and he that despiseth me despiseth him that my Father Yahweh that sent me. Yahweh Shai, right? So henceforth is in order. You out here, what's it called, mocking and scoffing the prophets. You out here mocking and scoffing Yahweh Shai. You out here mocking and scoffing the Heavenly Father Yahweh. And thenceforth destruction shall be upon you. Right? He that hate this word shall be destroyed. Proverbs 13:13. And throughout the prophets filter their speech that they say are filtered through the word, which is this. And what the Yahweh Shai say? He comes in the volume of the book. All right? Thenceforth he is that word. Right. Also, what's it called? First John one. No, not First John. John 1:1. Because I know there's like First John, Second John, Third John, and then you got the Book of John. I'm talking about the Book of John, the first chapter, verse 1. The word was also the word, and I was like, I was shocked for a second. Right. Going back to the Genesis 1 breakdown. So if you're going against this book, talking about, oh, I don't believe in it. You don't believe in Yahweh Shai. Yahweh doesn't go on you. He's gonna get on you. You know. And starting off Esau, the Lord should not meet thee as a man. He's gonna come here as all built jacked God. He's gonna be out here. He's gonna be out here as a true guy. The last time he was here on the scene, he was frail, right? He was frail, weak in this flesh. Yet was he the strongest? Because though he was in a weak flesh, right? And we don't, and he must have had pretty average, physique. Yet was he the only individual in this flesh to be sinless? Yeah, he is him. Yahweh Shai is literally him. I'm not him. Yahweh Shai is him. He's him. Esau, you ain't him. You're not him, bud. You're not him. Yahweh Shai is him. But guess what? Guess what, bud? Guess what, bud? Buddy, when you use the word buddy, it means inferiority. What's it called? When you call somebody, hey there, buddy, it's already assuming inferiority. Well, guess what? I'm better than you, Esau. So, yeah, you're inferior to me. You're the basest of men. Time back to Daniel, the 4th chapter, verse 17. The basest of men, right? So you nothing but worthless, man. I'll take your women. Yeah, that's for sure in the kingdom. Having 7 women. They find this out too. They find us out. But you know, for you, men out there, you men, Edomite men, you guys are little buddies. If you catch my meaning, my drift. So listen here, buddy. Yahweh Shai is not going to meet thee as a man. He's going to come here as a giant God. Like here, what's it called? Heavenly proportions, heavenly symmetry, heavenly perfection. Think on that. Think on that, buddy. I'm gonna put you on some pics, man. Put you on some photos. Put you on some photos, man. When I when I see this, I think heat. That's straight heat. Edits, man. Just to go and edit. Want another one? Want another one? I'll put you on another one. Feast your eyes on this. You see that when the screen adjusted to my screen, it looks like a little brightness. Look, it looks. Can't see it, and look, brightness, and then it clears up. That's how the God's gonna be rolling in. You know, you're gonna from a distance, we're gonna be like bright lights, whoosh. And then when we're in what's it called, eye distance, you're gonna be able to see us clearly and focus on us, and you're gonna see our outlines and everything. But we're gonna pull up as like a bright light, whoosh, and that. Hey, what did Yahweh Shai say? What did this individual say? Yahweh Shai. He made the mention how he is light. One more heat. One more heat. Feast your eyes on the names, dog. Yahweh, Yahweh, meaning he is, he exists. Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai. He saves, he delivers. He's in the come here, what's it called? Man, I can't even imagine. Dude, it's gonna be terrible, awesome at the same time. Like, it's gonna be awesome, awestruck, and everything. Awesome, literally the arcade definition of awesome. It's awe, right? It's awe inspiring, and you're struck. Right? Like, oh my God, oh. We're gonna be met with joy and terror at the same time. No cap, dog. Ooh. Man, oh look at this. Coming soon. When I look at those photos, damn, I can't even explain the feeling I feel. I feel what's they call it, joy and terror. I feel humility. But yeah, hey, best of luck. Best of luck, Gabe. Then I give it to you because it's not gonna be well for you. It's not gonna be well for you. But I could only, provide some verbal luck. So good luck, pal. Good luck. Break a leg, literally. So again, I time back though, Slovakia. He had the spark. He that despite me. He had despite me, despite the thing that sent me. So really, you despise his word, and that's why what's it called? People that despise against the prophets, they really testify against themselves that they were the same spirits that got down the prophets of old. The every time like, no, I wouldn't do that to prophet. The prophets are on the scene again. Motherfucker, they on the scene already. They've been on the scene for the past 30 something, past 50 years. They've been here for the past 50 years. Yeah, he was like, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen them. Motherfucker, they global. They global, dog. They global. How you think I learned? You know, yeah, one doesn't musically, one doesn't, put themselves in front of a camera out here teaching the scriptures, abiding by James doctrine, lest they learned. Hey, so you looked, but you ain't seen. And really, you didn't see what the Lord didn't let you to see. He didn't want you to, see and be converted, be healed. Time after Isaiah the 6th chapter, starting from verse 9, I believe to verse 12. All right. Lest what's it called? They see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and they be converted, healed and turn to the Lord. How long shall I go about this, Lord? Until the city be utterly wasted and desolate, destroyed. Talking about the ICBM. So off the bat, if you don't even know about the truth, because the gospel reads, what's it called? This word shall be preached to you, throughout the whole earth. It has been done so through the internet. But if you still haven't received this thing, at the probably this is the last year, what's it called? This may be the year things will die. If you still haven't received this word, you know, within these past 50 years, and with the other thing, it's because the Lord don't want you to hear, man. So again, you look, but you ain't seen. You look, but you ain't seen, pal. Tough luck, bud. Tough luck, pal. So, how was it called? You were the same people that testify against yourselves in action and in word that you went against the prophets, and you killed the prophets. And that's time back to First Ezra. What's it called? And there's plenty of precepts, man. What's it called? But I won't into that. But this one just hurts the most. This one's like really, it's freaking brutal. It is brutal. Second Esdras, the first chapter, verse 32. I have sent unto you my servants the prophets, whom you have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood will require at your hands, saith the Lord. So, you guys are marked. Hey, the scriptures make the mention, touch not mine anointed. Touch not mine anointed, and do no harm unto my what? Prophets. And the other apostles are clarified. A prophet is anointed. They've been sanctified. They've been set apart. Right before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and I sanctified thee to be a prophet. What's it called? And those are the Lord's people. Those are the Lord's chosen, His vessels. You out here cutting the Lord's vessels, man. So it wasn't get on you. Right? It's like you're attacking the Lord directly. What's it called? There's a priest that want to get out. Right. 2 Samuel. An example of what happens to those people that harm the Lord's anointed, His prophets. It's not going to be very pleasant for you guys. No. 2 Samuel 1 and verse. Also verse 8. And he said unto me, who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, stand, I pray thee, upon me and slay me. So actually, verse. I will start at verse 1, why not? Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came in the pass on the third day that, behold, the man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was when he came to David, so that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, whence comest thou? And he said unto him, out of the camp of Israel, and how am I escaped? And David said unto him, how would the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, that the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people are also fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are also dead. And David said unto the young man that told him, I don't know if thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead. And the young man that told him said, as I happened my chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and the horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and he called unto me, and I answered, here am I. And he said unto me, who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So if I'm mistaken, time back, what's it called? He asked to be killed by his arm bearer. Right? 1 Samuel 31. Verse 4, then Saul said unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore, so that was good on the armor bearer, right? The Lord preserved them, right? Because going back to 2 Samuel, you're going to see what happens if you mess with the anointed, right? So, hey, that was the Lord, preserving that armor bearer's, life, so that he would not, fall by, Saul's own words. He felt like it was upon his sword and died. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was not actually Saul, but his armor bearer would not, for he was so afraid. Therefore Saul took his sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that, actually, no, that's Salakia. I forget Salakia. The Lord didn't preserve his, the Lord didn't preserve his life, Salakia. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So Saul died in his 3 sons and his armor bearer and all his men that same day together. Salakia. I went off. And the thing is, I actually happened to just, quickly view it. I noticed it. I acknowledged it. But it's in my mind. And I'm like, oh, he preserved the life. No, he didn't preserve his life. Salakia. Second book of Samuel. First chapter, going back to verse 9. He said unto me, stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish has come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So Samuel, that's like Samuel. Samuel was already in the spirit world by then. Yeah, yeah. He was up in age. Saw him and saw, was still alive. Just bleeding out. So I stood upon him and slew him because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. Yeah, because I was just meditating earlier today. The blood is life, right? How was what's it called? I was reading this book with this right that thought, Human Anatomy, and you read about cytology, which is cytology analyzes the internal structure of cells, the smallest units of life, the smallest units of life, and what is blood composed of? Red blood cells, right? So, also the scriptures make the mention how thou shalt not eat the blood for their is of life, right? And when you bleed out, all that loss of blood, you die, right? And I'm just thinking it has to do with what's it called oxygen as well, because say you sever a limb, you have to reattach it within a certain period of time, because if it's not reattached within that period of time, it decays because it has no oxygen, if I'm mistaken. And that's why if I'm mistaken, the respiratory system and the cardiovascular system, they're interconnected. Cardiovascular pertaining to the heart, pumping the blood, and the respiratory pertaining to the lungs. Well, what's it called? Blood, goes through some vessels picking up oxygen from the lungs, and then the blood pumps out the heart pumps out the blood out the body. So, and what happens to that blood is being thrust out throughout the whole body, throughout all those vessels, providing oxygen for all parts of the body. They all flow back to where the heart begins, pick up the oxygen from the lungs. Um, so continuing on, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, what's it called? You know, um, Signing, if you will. But 2 Samuel, first chapter, verse 10. So I stood up upon him and slew him because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm and had brought them hither to my lord. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul, Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And to fall upon me and to kill, right? And so the young man smote him, the Amalekite, that he died. So that's the end all be all for those that what's it called? Dabble against was mess with the Lord's men. I'm gonna put you on something. Revelation 1:7. All right, so behold, he cometh the clouds, the chariots, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kings of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. Right, what's it called? Which pierced him, Yahweh Shai. You get attributed to the great prophet because he was also prophesying, and he's above us. So you guys pierced him by putting him on that cross, and well, the Roman soldiers physically put him on that cross, but whose choice was that? Jake, tell him, crucify him. What do you think the NIB us for those people that they call ain't turned back? They ain't repented yet. And just off the Howard Shine, that was a wrap. Well, terror, right? The implication right there is, and all kingdoms of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. And also, you have the other scriptures talking about what's it called? Men's hearts failing for fear. So, Akim have made the mention, heart attacks. You're gonna have those same individuals that go against the prophets, starting with Yahweh Shai. They see that Yahweh Shai ship, that father ship pull up from the heavens. They said, you're gonna see the freaking what's it called? Your body is turned freaking pale, street ghosts. You know? You're gonna see that freaking spirit just depart. Goodbye, ghost. Because ghost is interchangeable with spirit. You know, and anytime I was to call, ghosts in the modern sense, of like supposed spirits in purgatory and days linger around. No, no, because all spirits go back to the hand that gave it. All spirits go back to heaven, not hell, and they don't linger in the earth. You know, the only spirits that do that are the angels, man, spiritual angels. But yes, again, scriptures interchange the term spirit for ghost. So there are ghosts that are about. Those are the angels, man. Left hand, right hand angels. No spirits, man. But anytime I was to call dead people dying prematurely and lingering in the purgatory, no, what's it called? All spirits that die, this stuff, they'll go back to the spirit realm. You know, that's Ecclesiastes, the pursuit of the seventh chapter. Okay. And in the book of Ecclesiastes. Um, I'm gonna search up on the Google. Ecclesiastes 12:7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall be going to the body, right? That's true. You look at the what's it called scientific, dissolution of the body that's dead. You bury in the body and it decomposes, right? It bloats and then what's it called? Yeah, all these like worms and whatnot. Start eating the body, tearing it to shreds. So the Lord's feeding them, right? Their purpose is to be fed that stuff, help decompose. What's it called? Organic material like that, and then all those nutrients go back to the earth, right? So it's like Avatar, the movies, and with Pandora, you die and you give life back to the planet that gave it to you in the first place, right? So then shall this return to the earth as it was in the spirit, right? Which you are the spirit. And you think you're this body, mofo. This body is temporary. This is you right now, but like why else would we talking about what's it called? Spiritual body. More better, built bodies. I want to look like the way I do right now. All right, well, why? Because this body is temporary. Yeah, care for it. Don't destroy it, right? Don't let me don't smoky, none of that crap. Don't freaking scarification. That's wickedness. That goes against the scriptures. That goes against the law, right? No cuttings upon thy flesh as the heathen do. So all that scarification, those tats, that's bullshit. We're not about that. We don't do that. We're trying to have what's it called clear, nice, freaking skin the way it was ordained. No politics. Now, sure, we have microplastics. That's the BS and a half about being on this side of the earth, but not willfully doing it. You don't see what's it called no politics right there. Nice clean arms. And you look at the science behind it. You discover how a lot of cells in your body they start what's they call it tackling it down, but then they die and it just keeps rising. So the continuous cells just freaking trying to tackle all that ink, and that's why when you try and laser it off, really the laser is helping destroy all that pigment. Well, not pigment. Your skin, all that gunk, all that ink gunk. Making it more what's it called, reduced. It's reducing it. But that means the cells are able to eat it and then you know faster and therefore after several years after getting a laser, your skin is as though you not had it. And also because a lot we do shed skin. Not like lizards do. Lizards, their whole skin they have whole what's it called shells if you will. They all what's it called start flaking, and then they could either peel it off on their own, at the time, or a person that's specialized in that type of arena can help aid take off the skin, but amateurs really can't do it because then they may hurt the lizard, they hurt the reptile, things like that. But they do shed, but we don't shed to that degree. We shed, microscopically. That's why you may have like a certain scar right here, from like a little blemish. Over time, that thing is as though it's not been. I remember I had a huge blemish right here. It's not there. It was huge. I was, I shouldn't have done it in the first place, but I was impatient. That's my fault. But I'm more wiser now. But that it's as though it's not been. And also, you take what's it called, all those hygiene and care products. You know, I remember the other month that Zakpa was going to that. Add some chapstick. What's it called? Fix your hair. Which my hair was nice, but I guess the hair dried. You put some castor oil. You put some olive oil on that. Not olive oil like the actual thing. It was like a gel which contains olive oil, and the instructions read, apply the dry hair. When you apply a normal hair gel, it shapes it, makes it sticky. And I'm not about that. But the instructions on the specific container I have reads you can apply it to dry or wet hair. Right? So with wet hair, you're letting all that olive oil be absorbed by your hair. I'm using this in what's it called? It's a male thing. It's not effeminate. So it's a good thing to keep the hair at bay because my hair is all messed up. So what's it called? Wear some nice fresh clothes. Put on some lotion, right? Essential oils, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's not wicked. That's not effeminate, right? That's effeminate to the Western culture, but we're not supposed to, follow these ways, you know. Hey, why else would these products come into existence if not for our sakes, right? Out with the man. Hey, what do you think the can be talking about in the kingdom? When you get bathed by your woman, I'm gonna be applying these nice, fresh, essential oils on you, right? Hey, what's it called? Nothing wrong with with some, what's it called? Body cream, maybe call it body things. It helps the skin. And makes it fresh. You also gotta watch out for the ingredients, right? There's a lot of chemicals in there, which may not be good. I can even talk about what's it called. Sunscreen really be doing damage. Like cancer. Um, it's not like SPF. I gotta do my research. I can't piece on that one, but nothing wrong. What's it called? Makes the skin nice, clear, right? So that's good. It is good. I digress though. And the spirit shall return to, yeah, so you are the spirit. Your spirit is an animating force. Your conscience, your thoughts. He's also trying to, what's it called, tackle this mofo. It's simple. Your mind, right? Oh, it's called it's the you part, and you inhabit what's the brain, the cockpit, right? you know and that's what we're able to, what's it called, articulate fingers, able to, move our elbows. We can, move around, right? But the point again, I don't want to digress. I mean, digressing back to this, I don't want to branch out slack. I don't want to branch out, but digressing back, it does make a mention. And the spiritual return to Yahweh which I gave it, right? So I'll go back to spirit realm. But I pretty much cleared that point. What was that? I wanna digress back to Joel the second chapter, right? So verse 2, a great people and a strong that have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. And you continue reading on. You get more context. I ain't talking about no typical cavalry, man. Cavalry, what's it called? They're pretty limited. Really, it's talking about the ICBMs. They're being described as what's it called? Horsemen. Time back to verse 3, that was like the key precept, which really broke it down what it was talking about. Because you don't see a cavalry. Now, sure, some horsemen, they do have, what's it called, bows. But most of the time, they're dashing with swords. But, the way it's described again, verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is the Garden of Eden, before them and behind them a desolate wilderness. And time out, what's it called? Before them, it's all fancy, beautiful, and behind them, it's all tracked and disgusting, trampled, disgusting, dead. No, no. Now it's an analogy, but really, you think of you use an ICBM when you think about it, and when you imagine it. So imagine, what's it called? There's like a fancy, fancy garden, beautiful, luscious flowers. The missile, detonates. A mushroom cloud. Post mushroom cloud. What's left? Dead, tripled up nothingness. Montana is a beautiful state. I always in Montana. Montana's a beautiful state. A lot of flyover states. Yeah, they fly over and boring and bland. They got some blue. They got some, alluring beauty. No, not gonna lie. Was that gonna be like? It's gonna look like Fallout. Fallout 4. What's it called? Because in Fallout 4, you actually get a, you know, um, analogy on Joel the second chapter, verse 3. Because the prologue starts out with you in something falls. I forget. Sanctuary Hills, a nice little neighborhood that you're a part of, and you see the trees, beautiful red, yellow during the fall. You have the beautiful green grass, beautiful buildings, the beautiful sky. Then what's it called? You hear about the missile about being launched. You run to the bunker. 200 years later, after being frozen, you come out of it. Everything's a desolate freaking wilderness. I'll show you a picture in the Sanctuary Hills. Then and now. Okay. Actually, look, the AI overview even explains it. You can't see it though. Okay, so it reads: Sanctuary Hills in Fallout 4 undergoes a massive transformation from a pristine upper middle class pre-war suburb in 2077 to a ruined radioactive wasteland in 2287, which can then be rebuilt in a thriving player managed settlement. Look at this! Look at it. That's exactly what's gonna happen to America, man. That looks like America, like 1950s style. Because that's really what's it called, the 2070s and Fallout universe entailed. An atomic, future with 50-esque vibes. But this is what it's gonna look like. But just imagine that though without the buildings, right? Because we know we talk about, it should be more with the fervent heat. That means what's it called? Your buildings, skyscrapers, all these inventions would be as though they hadn't been. And you're gonna have craters. Hell, this city could be a freaking crater after the nuke spin. Because I didn't make the mention earlier, with the Earth really to unfold like a drunkard, you're gonna have what's it called? New land masses, may shake. Same way what's it called? It was during the flood, if I'm mistaken, right? Because the apostles know this talk about Pangea. Pangea was a thing. Then you had the flood, the foundations broke apart, and that's where you had what's it called? The Earth separate. You know, what's it called? You can only imagine. Actually, I'm gonna pull that out as well. All right, so uh, Isaiah 24 now. 24, verse 20, actually, verse 19. The earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Right. So when you think about a drunkard, they got you saying, I'm great, I'm cracked out of my mind. I'm under the influence. BAC. That's above point A or whatever. I don't freaking know. 0.4%. I don't know what the. I'm search it up. What's the amount of BAC you need to be drunk? All right. So 0.16 to 0.30% BAC. In this range, you will feel more serious signs of intoxication, such as difficulty walking or speaking. So like, I'm 0.16% 30%, BAC level, so I'm intoxicated. So what's it called? As an example, using the analogy of a freaking drunkard. By the way, don't be a drunk because scriptures advise against it. Not be what's it called drinking. You want to be sober, sobriety. How we watched that movie by what's his name? Something Scorsese. Martin Scorsese, the director, right? He directed the film. The Wolf from Wall Street, The Wolf of Wall Street, or something like that, right? It was just set during the '80s. I was thinking it's based on a true story. I forget. The point is, at the end, near the end of the film, you have the main character that Leonardo DiCaprio plays. I forget the character's name though, but he's telling, I forget the other guy, but they're by a pool and he's talking about, man, I hate being sober already. And to him, it feels boring, tedious, long. He rather because that the whole film is out here popping, pills. Talking about what's it called? You bring I forget what you call the drugs. I don't remember. I mean, even in that one scene when they're in the storm in the ocean, whoosh, a big wave about to freaking destroy the boat, and this guy like bring some pills. He needs to function with what's it called being under the influence. I don't know what's it called being sober. Sober ain't boring though. You know that person's weak minded. That being sober, being sober is the best thing that could ever happen. You don't see me. I've never been drunk in my life. That's the truth. Lord could, Lord be the witness. You got a witness. I've never been drunk. That was a code. I don't want to do drugs neither. Drugs are bad. Being under the influence is disgusting. Right? I'd rather be sober, clear minded, clarity, be in the spirit. You can't be in the spirit while being freaking drunk. That's not how it works. You have these, what's it called, spiritual people out here. I'm like, oh, Mike, you could be drunk and no. And also that rest of fire crap is bullcrap. Smoking weed is part of the culture. Her culture is, being a Hebrew Israelite, it means, being sober minded. Right? If you're gonna consume weed, don't smoke it. If you're gonna drink, don't over exceed. So we advise against that. I digress. Yeah, so the Earth was gonna be. You have all these 200 million missiles. Just gonna be this. I remember the Academy talking about how the birds in heaven gonna feel it. They're gonna feel the vibration. Boom, 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 boom. Just imagine that. And that's why you have to be in the freaking chariot, up in the space, past the firmament, looking down on Earth, to be able to, what's it called, be preserved. Because you're gonna feel in heaven too. Like a freaking, like one of those jackhammers. That's how it's gonna be, dog. It's gonna be the biggest earthquake in existence, right? That's we're going to the how what's it called? Times that are coming, or they're gonna be new things that have never been what's it called experienced before. Neither shall they be experienced in the end. I mean, in the future, because this is the end, right? They're not gonna be experienced in the future. Neither have they been experienced in the beginning, the prior. Only in these times. Slovakia. Okay. I'm gonna bring out my charger. My phone's about to die. Oops. Okay. Okay. So what can you imagine? You hear common sense. When something impacts your, it's like you drop a rock into a pond. You throw a rock into a pond, the surface is gonna ripple, and it's gonna keep on doing that, until the end of this radius. You drop a rock into a pond, ripple, 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 ripple. Here's an illustration. A photo, a depiction, a drawing, or real life, image. Um, you can attribute that to this. Doesn't it alter the surface? It does alter the surface, right? Something heavy with mass impacts the surface. It alters its surrounding radius. Think of Esau's astronomy bull crap with space time. Now we don't really know much about the heavens. Esau just theorizes and supposedly gets radio waves and whatnot from distance. We know a lot of that's like bull crap. I would estimate like 80% of that's lies. But as the others have said, one lie is enough to make the whole truth a lie. Therefore, the whole thing's a lie. You could just say 100% lie. We really don't know much about the heavens. You know, we will in the kingdom though. I have so many questions regarding the heavens, right? But one thing Esau teaches is space time, something with mass, warps the surface of space time, and that's where you get like orbiting, satellites and whatnot. Um, right. So it's an alteration of the surface. So just imagine that Akim have talked about, even Esau scientists have talked about New Zealandia, a new continent coming, and it's near New Zealand, but it's a submerged continent. And I remember visiting the LA camps, and those prophets, the men of the Lord, have spoken about how new lands in the kingdom. Exactly, a new land. When I look at the map and I see New Zealand, I think of the kingdom, a new land. Esau, what's it called? We'll be able to take that as part of his dwelling. What's it called? Because by then, he'll be the bassist. In the order, in the hierarchy, he is the bassist, but I know he has power in the dwelling of his fairness. His dwelling should be the fairness of the earth, and the kingdom. He won't inherit shite, right? That would be left to us. Hey, we should the me shall inherit the earth. Yeah, what's it called? Our hub. Our hub will be what's it called? The Fertile Crescent, which I know the other Apostle Car clarified on that, and it's based upon the idea that the concept already envisioned by expansionists and what's it called, Israel right now, the Amalekites, but the other Apostle Car, what's it called, subordinated. That's what it is true. This is supposed to be the hub. We have only, however, experienced a portion of it under Solomon. That wasn't the full thing. It was really this inhabiting part of Egypt. Half of or really a third of Saudi Arabia. Part of Iraq, Syria. The whole thing. But also be the hub. And even after 1,000 years, what's it called? The heathen will go back to the lands, and Esau will be burned up as nothing. Really, the whole earth shall be ours. And that's nice. That's in Matthew the 5th chapter, verse 5, right? Why? Because it's going to be under our governorship, our sovereignty, our rulership, right? Our kingdom, the kingdom, um, and what's it called? The whole universe. Think about the galaxy like 3 billion light years away. That's going to be part of the Israelite territory. The whole universe is Israelite territory. It will be Israelite territory. It's ordained, and though there's no scripture directly, explicitly saying that, that's why we have to read the full role, meditate therein, to be able to what's it called, get these ideas. You have to think about it. How should I make the mention there are mansions, my father's house? Well, we know mansion as the apostles and elders, like great millstone, the middle and down off top, those are the planets, right? Because there's a thing, one of the promises make the mention, you shall be the stars of heaven. Now, if time after immortality, we're gonna be immortal, that means no generation will pass and another come. No, it's just a generation that comes. Meaning we'll be, a innumerable multitude, and the heathen will also have to procreate a lot to be able to use it called what's it called? The heathen will also multiply a lot to be able to satisfy our needs. It ain't gonna just be 3/3 of heathen and that's it. What about the ever growing nation of Israel? Well, obviously, what's it called? The heathen will also have to procreate to keep up the numbers to what's it called, serve our people. And also, what's one thing the men of the Lord agree must not have taught? Sex is marriage. Not sex is marriage, but not that. Sex is a comfort. That's what I want to get out. Think about ancient Egypt. When Pharaoh afflicted us. What happened then? Hey, we increased. We multiplied. The sex is a comfort. So the heathen will also increase. To what's it called? Because it's gonna be a comfort for them. But they'll still be at peace. They're gonna live better under us than with Esau. It's gonna be true justice, right? They're really gonna increase numbers on the first 1,000 years from all that slavery. They're gonna be like, what's it called? Moabite men, sleeping with the woman. More kids. Hey, more slaves. What's it called? Think about it. It's gonna lead to overpopulation. You have that movie. What's it called? Tip of my tongue. Tip of my tongue. Green, Soylent Green. Soylent Green. You read about what's it called? The Earth is overpopulated. They be using dead human bodies to make up the type of food that they be eating, right? And that's why the end of the film, the main character is like, tell them the truth. What's it called? After he finds out that they've been cannibalizing on each other for a long time now. Well, that the Lord is perfect. Would he ever establish such an outcome? No. So we know overpopulation is going to be a thing. What then? We're going to hop onto new planets. Thenceforth, it is no hard matter for you to understand these things if you only use your flipping freaking brain. This truth involves thinking, not overthinking to the point where you lean onto your own understanding. Is no. Meditation means thinking. Think, filtering out the scriptures, and if you have certain questions, don't be shy to ask, right? More experienced men. But then there are also those other deep questions which you don't even want to dwell on because they're not beneficial for the sake of salvation, right? Know to yourself is a curiosity is natural. It's good to have questions, but they're too deep that you're not going to be having an answer until the kingdom. Don't bother dwelling on them, right? What's it called? That's in the spiritual way. They know deep. They know deep things. I'm not saying that was in the book of Ecclesiasticus. All right. Share it with me. I can find it. All right, here's one precept. Ecclesiasticus 16:23. He that wanteth understanding will think upon vain things, and the foolish man erring imagineth folly. So that's another one. Well, there's another precept that came to mind, pointing to don't think deep things. Right, Ecclesiasticus 3:21. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search things that are above thy strength. Right, because above our strength, again, this mind cannot comprehend, you know, those celestial thoughts that the Lord be thinking. Right, that's why His thoughts are better than ours. We have to wait until that body to be able to be able to then understand. I remember that I can have that dream talking about the other apostles, the heart, sending the other apostles forth to bring a bag of so and so, which really represents the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The message about that dream, and that you cannot receive the full wisdom, knowledge, and understanding into the kingdom, having the seven eyes and horns, right? Completion, complete wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as a true God. We only have a limited quantity of it, which that's what the other put the heart, because then you have the other, man of the Lord having that dream about the salmon, which was only given to elder apostle of the heart, and elder apostle of the heart cut it into pieces to be able to feed unto him, which thenceforth means starting out with the apostle of the heart, the Lord be dealing with them, imparting all these wise thoughts, and then it is through the apostle of the heart he trickles it down to the rest. That is the order. Get it in your plain simple head, simple ass head. I digress though. Um, all right. Yeah, so New Zealandia in a new land for free. For free again, title free in the kingdom, free land, free land. um All right. Time after Isaiah the 65th chapter though. That was the main topic. I really digressed. 17, right? For behold, I create new heaven and new earth, which when you go back to the Greek word kainos or kainos, if I am not mistaken, it means refreshed, refurbished. Again, time after Ecclesiastes 1 and 4. The earth abideth forever, meaning eternity. So all these ideas that Esau be coming up with in the cosmological sense time about, oh, after several billion years, the earth will explode and the planet will also dissolve. Oh, did you know what's it called? Stellar explosions can wipe out anything within its radius. That means all planets will burn and melt into fervent heat, into dust. And thence will this stellar explosion be a nebula? What's it called? Really, what's it called? that can never happen. What's it called? The sun can't expand and blow up and destroy the earth with it. No, that's Esau's thing. That's Esau's thing. What's it called? But again, time at the biblical portion, the earth abideth forever. Meaning the sun, which revolves around the earth, not the other way around, cannot blow up. So it's a greater light, but it's not greater than the earth. What's it called? What's nothing about? There's a thought that came to mind, but it slipped. Right. So, kind of refurbished. And you think what's it called? These missiles gonna, hitting this place gonna blow up the earth? No, not even that. Right. Oh yeah, yeah. Now I remember the priest one thing about 2 Ezra 15:2. The things that are written therein are faithful and what true. Thenceforth, the things we speak is not freaking folly. It's not vain. It's not false. It's not fairy tale. It's freaking true, 100%. Anyways, and the former should not be remembered nor come to mind. What does that mean? That these thoughts that we had in the past, like currently this time right now, these thoughts, doing this lesson, right? What's it called? And aside from that, my day to day dealings on this earth, my daily routine will not come to mind in the kingdom. Why? Because in the kingdom, we're gonna be a whole different level. We're gonna have so much fun. We're not even gonna think about the past. I mean, sure, we're gonna be thinking about time to time, like, hey, remember that time we were playing GTA 5? Hey, Shalom, remember that time we were playing GTA 5? Oh yeah, we did the Cayo Perico heist. Huh? That's gonna come to time to time. We're gonna remember things, right? Hell, people talking about what people, then this could be also still. This also sort of still. This verse also comes as a stumbling block because people out here talking about, oh, you're not gonna remember anything. Mind wipe. Not mind wipe, but you're gonna be a true guy. You're telling me what's it called? You're not gonna remember anything. The other high priest, Yaiquab, beloved late other high priest Yaiquab, in that old video, explicitly made the mention the reason as to why we're here reincarnating is to know both good and bad, to become true judges. You telling me what's it called in the kingdom? You're not gonna remember shit. Oh, how'd you even get there in the first place? Why are you gonna have slaves if you don't even know what popped off? Why are you gonna be a judge if you don't know how to judge a matter? How are you not gonna? Because the judgment matter. You're supposed to not take righteousness for granted. You're supposed to know the context. You're supposed to know how it feels like to go off. Right? You're like, oh no, you don't want to do that, but that is not what you want to do. You want to do this and that. Right? To judge a true matter, to be a true judge as written in the scriptures, you must know both good and evil. That's why we come back live to live and experience. The same patterns, similar patterns, little slight distinctions, right? Learning wickedness. So that way, in the kingdom, we become true gods. Us having all wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and having our memories, not them being wiped. I don't know. What's it called? That's a flesh thing. We're talking about what's it called? A spiritual body. On the other hand, whole new level. Obviously, we're gonna have memories, and we're gonna be able to judge true matter. So no, nigga, we're not gonna go my way. No. What's it called? We're gonna have all memories intact, as true gods would. As true gods would. They're the whole matter, right? It's a piece that came to mind. I'll come back. So So yeah, we're gonna remember, but we're not gonna think on it. We're gonna be too busy, having fun. Just imagine that resorts every single day, creating plan. Hey, we got Jake out there. What's it called? Playing these sandbox games, man. These God creator sandbox games. Playing Minecraft. Fortnite. What's it called? Creative mode. Yeah, here what's it called? Creating stuff. That's fun. That's fun. You go to the beach. You get your little castle buckets. Get sand. Put some water. Soaks up, becomes compact and malleable. You pour in the sand. Make a nice little castle. That's creation. Creating is fun. It's also a peaceful thing. When you see these films, and even historically speaking, what would kings and leaders do on their free time? Go to a garden, water their garden. They would create something, right? Like some people were skilled in shaping bushes, like Edward Scissorhands. Look, I made a what's it called, a dinosaur. That's a peaceful thing. What's it called? In the original Karate Kid movie, what would you have the sensei do near the start of the film? He was out here, what's it called, shooting his bosnite, how do you pronounce it, bosnite tree, something like that. It's a peaceful thing. The kingdom is about, the kingdom is going to be about freaking peace. Micah 2 and 10, depart ye, for this is not your rest. This is not our rest. The kingdom is our rest. And the kingdom is going to be peaceful. It's going to be awesome, satisfying. You think you watch these satisfying videos that invoke something satisfying. Motherfucker, you're gonna be satisfied 24/7 in the kingdom. Waking up all satisfied. Each breath is gonna be satisfied. Yeah, on this side, you're taking cold breaths, dry breaths, it hurts your nose, it stings your nose. Or you're in the city, you're already smelling freaking smog and, mildew and freaking, butt crap, freaking sewage, gross. In the kingdom, we're gonna be smelling what's they call rose violets and cupcakes. Every second that passes will be satisfying. Every breath will be satisfying. Everything will be satisfying. And beautiful and deliciously lovely and yummy. Comely, comely. A day in thy courts are better than 1,000 here, right? So, what's it called? You may go to like the Griffith Observatory or a resort like Cancun or whatever the freaking out. Do you think those things will ever amount to a day in the kingdom? Not by a long shot, but here you have to pay just to get for the fare just to get there. Ticket, admission, whatever. Again, free in the kingdom for the nation of Israel. You ain't gonna be freaking paying jack shot. Paying $50 for freaking ticket to freaking whatever the freaking no, it's all free. Freaking pull up, just pull up, man. So hop out the chariot, pull up on the chariot, hovering, glow ground, hop out. Aura, aura is free in the kingdom. Aura is freely and automatically given to the nation of Israel. Glowing, glistening. What was how should I describe that as in Revelation the first chapter? So you're gonna have aura in the in the sociological in the societal sense, right? Social sense, but also a little aura, a veil. What's it called? A glowish outline. Revelation one in what's it called? One in I believe it was this chapter. 16, and he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth when I tried to his sword, and his countenance was like the sun shineth in this strength, and to your reason, his face was like the sun in all his brightness, brilliance. Right? You see his sun, his little shine, his brightness. So imagine now an Israelite body like Yahweh Shai's body. God damn, freaking! I shouldn't have done Salakia. Not that. Think Dragon Ball Z. When the actor was called, doing the little power thing, freaking fire belt, that fire aura thing. That's gonna be a thing for Israel. That's an Israel exclusive, dog. Thenceforth, that name Shamash one, who holds more connotation, a bright one, like the sun, like the sun. But I digress back to this 5. Okay. Okay. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem as rejoicing, and her people a joy. Hey, what's it called? Jerusalem is, just depressed, vexed, lamentations, right? But it reads right here, a rejoicing, and her people a joy. We're gonna be joy. We're vexed on this side. We're gonna be joyful on that side. Like, oh my God, oh, amazing. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem. And Jerusalem pertains to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? Um, because you got certain terms which are interchangeable with each other, but still refer to a nation, a group of people, once chosen. And that's what we read about New Jerusalem. It ain't talking about a physical skyblock city pulling down from the freaking heavens onto the ground. No, it's talking about the people, being beamed down from the chariots. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. In the NLT, it clarifies for the modern reader. No longer will babies die when only a few days old. No longer will adults die before they have lived a full life. No longer will people be considered old at 100. Only the cursed will die that young. Well, we won't be a curse, no spiritual bodies. Motherfucker will be perfected, sinless. The wages in this day, I'm not going to be cursed to that obstruction again. And we're going to be blessed. Blessed. And yeah, that means what's it called? Babies, they won't die. They'll be born, grow infinite. They'll be infinite years old. More premature deaths, with adults, more accidents, because there will be no need. They won't deserve death. They won't deserve because they'll be perfected, righteous. But the sinner being, that's like the point I wanted to do that was, no longer will people be considered old at 100. Yeah, 100 is nothing. Now. You're gonna be infinite years old. Think in 1 to 2 trillion years old. 1 to 2 trillion years old, and that's why you'll still be young. Meanwhile, the heathen still, what's it called, rotting away, decaying. You know, young, malleable faces, but then their cells, get worn out. The point where their skin starts getting wrinkly and ugly, and it's messed up skin. What's it called? Whereas us, 2 trillion years down the line, still awesome, perfected. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's the kingdom, but that's 100 years is freaking like being 100 years will be the new 20. How about that? How about actually I take that back. That's nothing. 100 years will be the new 100 years will be the new 1 year old. 100 years will be the new 1 month old. 1 billion years will be the new 1 billion years will be the new 20. The thing is, even after a billion years, even after like bajillion years, even after like quintillion years, you will still look young and you'll be a god. God damn! Imagine that. See, I'm out here smiling. Normally I don't smile for crowd. But see how then it's a fulfillment of prophecy. This book is a comforter. Is that not why Yahushua then prescribed this book? Hey, Yahushua is a physician, all right. He prescribed us the best medication. He also made the mention now this kind goeth not forth out by praying and fasting. That's another form of medication. Our medication is spiritual. We are praying and fasting to the Lord. You feel better. Oh my gosh. Also, fasting does hold, benefits. So Esau be out here contradicting himself. A certain Edomites talking about, oh, it's good. Edomites be talking about, oh no, it's bad. Motherfucker. Therefore, again, Esau can no longer stand. Can a kingdom divided against each other, stand? No. Esau's, confounding himself. He's divided against himself. Therefore, country cannot stand. But you want true biblical divine ordained truth. You want authentic truth. Fasting is good, especially when it's paired with praying. That's another form of medication. Praying and fasting with this. Believe me, I can believe me. Believe me. Believe me when I say Yahushua is a physician. Right? He came to heal. He was a healer. He was spiritual power to heal. How about that? Anyways, verse 21, and they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build another habit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree. Yeah, we're not gonna. What's it called? We're not gonna build and heathen will inhabit and our plant. The heathen will take our harvest. That was one of the curses. You read about that in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. Why? Because we went off. But will we go off in the spiritual bias? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. But hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Right? What's it called? And even then, what's it called? We're not going to build ourselves. There's a king freaking do work. No, he commands. Hey, we're going to be many most eyes on this guy, on that side. Many most eyes in the Yahweh Shai. The Yahweh Shai, the King of Kings. We're going to be joint heirs with the lesser kings. Well, what's the king to do? He commands. The king don't automatically, what's it called, manually, willfully get up out of his throne. All right, yeah, let's gonna get work. Building. No, that's the thing on this side. We're gonna be building through the heathen. We're gonna provide the blueprints. All right, heathen. All right, damn Malachi. All right, Amalek. Here's a blueprint. So build my freaking palace. Hurry up. All right, I want 5,000 you on this. On this tram. I want 5,000 you on this freaking museum. 5,000 you on this freaking palace. 5,000 you in my freaking bedchambers. The whole thing. I don't know. That's how we'll build it. Hey, is the Heavenly Father Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai not already accredited, and does he not deserve credit for the creation of the heavens and the earth? Though it was Yahweh and the angels that physically constructed everything. Oh yeah, he deserves creation. He's a part of the Elohim. He's the one that conceptualized everything in this mind. He created the blueprints. He created them through Yahweh the angels. Thenceforth, will we not do the same? Will we not do the same? Yeah. So therefore, we'll be building by the heathen. And it's also like, again, repetition of history. Whereas Mark Twain stated a rhyming of history, which even though he did make that distinction, it still supports Ecclesiastes 29. It's still what's it called, a repetition of history, nonetheless. It's like in the ancient world, from the time of Joshua, we came up the heathen, and ass kicking, and we took over their homes, their cities. Did we not? Yay. So same thing they constructed, we'll take over. They're gonna construct on the kingdom side, and we're gonna inhabit those buildings. The curses shall be fall upon them. I can have spoken about that. Right? The curses being solely placed upon the heathen. Right? Hey, you have that one video and I can did a lesson on it. And it was about some Southern Kingdom Jake, getting VIP suites in a hotel, and the person recording getting butthurt carrying around was a freaking Edomite. I'm like, hey, why they gave me suites? Why not us? That's an example. We're gonna get the seats. We're gonna get the suites. Mofo, the whole palace gonna be a suite. Esau suites are little rooms in the whole building. Mofo, the whole palace, the whole building will be a suite. My whole palace will be a suite. I'll have like 5 palaces on the side. Everything will be a suite. The bathroom will be a suite. The outside will be a suite. The whole estate will be a suite. Think about that, son. It's not pride, it's confidence. Confidence in what the scriptures. Anyways, they shall not build in another habit. They shall not plant. Yeah, what's it called? We're gonna have field workers, man. And you're gonna plant my tomatoes in this field. On this other field, y'all gonna be planting my freaking what's it called? Strawberries. It'll be as though I planted because I'm the one commanding them. And we're not gonna do that poly freaking field crap. That's wickedness. It's against the law. It'll be mono fields, that mono stuff. So mono meaning single, poly meaning multiple. So one field is dedicated to one certain type of crop, the other, so on and so forth. Not all types of crops together. That's a wickedness. That's against the scriptures. Though East are talking about, it's beneficial. People in the world talking about, what's it called? It's practical. It's practical. No, hold on. Let me just freaking into that. The niggas in the world be like, they're like, it's practical. What's it called? It's still against the law. You know that the glasses with the, and that was the emoji, the nerd emoji, which catches a lot of hate. When somebody breaks down something, you know, mentions the truth, people like they throw the nerd emoji. Yeah, a little inside joke. But for us, the days of the tree are the days of my people. The tree lives a long time, but will we eventually shrivel like a tree does? No, because a tree that reaches its end stage, it collapses. Or you got certain redwood trees that just collapse on their own. It was a time. That was up. It won't be our time, but it's an analogy because a tree lives. It could live thousands of years, man. You have talking about the Methuselah tree up in one of the mountains in Northern California, right? Right. So trees can be ancient, man. Trees are old. We'll be likened to the trees, but we'll be infinite, you know, because eventually tree will freaking have to die. Not us. We're not going to shrivel up and die. No, because we're going to be spiritual bodies. spiritual, spiritual, man. There's going to be physical bodies, but spiritual bodies. And mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain nor bring forth. Yeah, you read Ecclesiastes 1, you know, you have, what's it called? Yahweh Shai King talking about everything is vain, all is vanity, you know, it's all vain. Well, in the kingdom, not for the nation of Israel, won't be vain. Yeah, Yahweh Shai knows this now because he's in the spirit realm, you know, perfected. He knows coming, he knows prophecy, he knows waiting for him. His legacy is already written regardless, you know. His labor is not vain. We know Yahweh Shai's works. For they are the seed of the blessed. They shall not labor in vain or bring forth trouble. For they are the seed of the lead. No, B L E S E D. Right, blessed. Son of the blessed of the Lord. YAHA WAH. I'm not sure. So taking ASO, I'm still. It's like my first week learning it in the course right now for the semester, first semester in college, and I'm still not sure how to decide for the role shifting because instead of using the word "and," which is like a filler word, you know, we don't use prepositions, none of that stuff. We don't use the word "and." It's like a role shifting sign. I'm not sure what that is though. So for the sake of this, you know, lesson, I'll just say "and" verbally. I'll say and who? What's it called? I A H A W A S H I. You know, and I've learned a few words of, you know, ASL off the bat, but it's not enough to be able to do a lesson in ASL. The most I can do is, you know, simple little words. You know, what's it called? Book, open, right? For example, tomorrow, what's it called? Library, I go. You know, because the syntactic structure of ASL differs from that of the English and Spanish spoken language, for example. So, for example, say shirt. I'm not sure the word for garment, but let's just say shirt in this case. And instead of saying I like the shirt being at the end of a sentence, it comes at the start of a sentence in ASL. And that's because it abides by a 5 category word structure, if you will. Time, location, act, no, time, location, topic, comment slash action, and a question, you know, something like that. And so you would be like, um, instead of saying I like the shirt, you'd be like, shirt me like, you know, Lord willing, you know, I do learn more. What's it called? ASL pretty quickly though. Cause I'm taking a course in college, but that way I'll be able to do a lesson. I took that course for this, you know, specifically for the truth, to be able to communicate. So you got words like level one, right? Basic, structure. Yeah, examples like one, two, three. Um, Another example I could provide, if you will, for ASL would be ASL being American Sign Language, American version. You got different types of sign languages. You got Mexican Sign Language, Russian Sign Language, you name it, but this is American Sign Language. Another example I could provide would be like, tomorrow, move. No, sorry, no, tomorrow. This means now. This means tomorrow. This means now. So now, movies go. You mean you want to go to the movies, and this is a questioning thing. When you ask a question, you have to raise your eyebrows at the start of a sentence. I'm saying so like so so. Yeah, how about Hashem Shabbat Zyler more ASL soon and fast up to be able to communicate and do a lesson on it. Hey, talents, man, talents. But and their offspring, for they are the seal of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. How about that? Hey, so greatness awaits in the kingdom. Hey, I'm ending off from the priesthood that really started it off, because the priesthood that came to mind was seek ye the Lord, and all these desires shall be added to thee. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Have a question ever with me. Psalms 37:4. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Right. Delight yourself. See the Lord when you be found. You delight in the things He provides by the truth. Starting with the men of the Lord at Great Mosto, starting with the apostles and others at Great Mosto, right? Meditate day and night, pray, right? All the things that are commanded, and Lord willing, you be the elect. His overall elect, they're gonna abide by those rules, right? A rehearsing the righteous acts is written in the book of Judges, the fifth chapter, verse 11. Yeah, seek ye the Lord, man. Hey, let this in the Lord, and all these desires shall be added to thee. What desires, man? Peace, spiritual body, right? What's it called? Spiritual powers, optic vision, super strength, all that stuff, like Samson, right? Which, that name Shamash one doesn't mean Samson in the English, but super speed. I like super speed. We're gonna be on some quick, sober, freaking the Flash, type shit, you know. Right, women, 7 women, Isaiah 4:1, right? What's it called? Which I would take place on this side, but you could also apply it to the kingdom because even in the kingdom, you're getting the distribution of women, right? Like the heathen women. All right, that's a baddie. I'm a taker to me. I'm a claimer. That's my claim. All right, that's my claim, guys. That's my claim. Y'all cool with that? Oh, for sure. No problem. The water. Right. It's called everything, even things we can't imagine. We have only seen a few of the Lord's works. Time up to First Corinthians, I made to mention now. No eye, no ear hath heard what the Lord has in store for them. But with that being said, I hope this lesson was edifying, and I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, and it's going to be on His Son Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Harachakwadash, the honor to the apostles, and others at Great Millstone who were well and have taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you all who will let the push not this word of thought, truth and sincerity. To what you are can reduce a shalom.